All right. Welcome everyone to Shattering Stereotypes, a webinar about changing and empowering your peri and menopausal journey. So, this is kind of a first run for all of us here. And I'm super excited about it. This has been kind of my partners here, Kifri and Nick know, like a passion project of sorts, and as I've spent my whole afternoon, sorry, at a track meet with my kids' track meet. And so I had this book out next to me, and so this prompted some really lovely conversations and some really fascinating reactions from an older lady in front of me who I don't know if she appreciated or not our conversation, but when I invited her in, she was not interested in joining. Um, so as I told one of the moms who was interested and eager to have the conversation, she's like, I have so much rage. And I'm like, me too. And so I'm working to channel it. And one of the ways to channel it is by doing things like this and doing this kind of work and creating these conversations and spaces. So that's what we're hoping to do, or to start a little bit tonight and hopefully to continue that. I would love though, well, okay, hi, I'm Tamara. Um, I'm in Fort Collins. I'm a resilience coach and consultant for organizations. And my partners here, we are creating this workshop and creating a retreat this summer all around empowering menopause, in part because I had an early menopause hit in my late 30s, and then transitioned to full, I guess, menopaused. And I was like, oh, no one's talking about this, right? And so and it coincided with career, like should have been like the peak of my career. I also I have a kid hitting pre-puberty. I'm like, I shouldn't be menopaused and have to deal with puberty. This just seems really
Wrong.
not cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, uh, so that's some of what I'm bringing to this conversation and sort of the passion behind it. But I don't know, Kifri, Nick, do either one of you want to do your intro?
Sure, I'll go next. Um, I don't guess my perimenopausal journey was early per se. And every doctor I ever went to that I described symptoms to was like, you're too young for that. And I'm like, but please explain what's happening to my body. And so the passion was born. Actually, my sister kind of was the leader in that and went to see Dr. Mary Claire Pastor-Haver, who is kind of the Galveston diet guru lady who has really put menopausal conversation on the map. And so that was kind of where my journey began. And there's just so much learning. And so again, passion for creating these spaces to keep having these conversations so that other women don't feel so ill prepared. So we know what to expect. So we kind of know what's coming. So we know like this myriad of symptoms that can occur. Anyway, I said all that before saying like who I am. I'm Kifri. I'm in Galveston, Texas. I am an LPC for my profession. I'm a counselor in private practice, and women's work has just been a really big, beautiful part of how I do this work and helping lead people to their empowerment, that fire within. Rage, anger is a gift. Tamara and I were just joking. I was like, Rage Against the Machine, one of my favorite bands. Yes, anger is a gift. And often as women, we're so um, taught and conditioned not to be in touch with that in a healthy way. So taking back that stereotype and embracing rage as a gift.
Okay.
My name is Nicole. I go by Nick. I'm a counselor out of Golden, Colorado. My private practice is Wilding Therapy, and it predominantly focuses on women's issues. I have yet to enter perimenopausal, but I have rage for my clients that come to me who are being gaslit by the medical community for their symptoms. When I ask, "Have you had your hormones checked?" they look at me like I'm from Mars. Um, I'm not quite sure you need an antidepressant. Let's check on your hormones. And they just look at me like, my doctor didn't even bring this up to me. So the three of us have been discussing this topic and um, the sort of shame that seems to be around the word menopause. I remember I even asked my mom when we started talking about this retreat, when did you go through menopause? And she says, Nicole, we don't talk about that. And I was just really floored. I was like, oh, this is also why you didn't tell me about my period. So here we are. We're saying the word menopause out loud, and I'm really excited about this. I've even started sharing it with my friends that are guys. I'm like, how does it sound when I say the word menopause? And they're just like, and I was like, it shouldn't be so weird. So anyway, we are here. I'm stoked that Tamara has like organized this. We're super excited to share with you about the women's retreat that we have planned this summer. Now it is yours, Tamara.
Yeah. Well, and afterwards you'll get well, everyone who signed up will get the recording and a workbook to work through on your own to kind of continue. We'll also have pages in there that have each of our favorite resources kind of related to this topic, related to empowerment, but and also really related to menopause. And as I said, like, this is a new book that just came out. I encourage you to get it from the library and carry it around with you and see what fascinating conversations come up. And it's also really, really awesome. Crystal entered perimenopause after having the last baby at 32 and had no idea what it was. And it took 2 years of researching at 2 doctor's visits. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That does kind of lead me to a quick question, maybe not quick question. Since we're a small group who showed up, I would love to hear what about this offering attracted you. What are you hoping for? Why are you here?
So I don't know. Can you guys see me?
Yeah.
Okay. I joined video. Please excuse the look. Number one, I want to support my sister and you guys and all of what you're trying to do. I think it's amazing and I would love to share it with other women, to just open up talking and being okay with what's going on in our bodies, because we're kind of in this transition stage, right? Where we're coming out of like young and kind of entering our like midlife era, we're out of baby having stage, but we still have children at home if we do, and our bodies are changing, our hormones are everywhere, and it's just different from where we were in our teenage years and our early 20s. And I was just, number one, want to support my sister and also gather around other women that are like-minded.
Yeah.
Yay.
Thanks,
Love you,
guys.
sis.
Love you. I'm go off now.
Other shares?
I can go. So one, I think Tamara's great, and I'm sorry I didn't get to see you in person, but appreciate everything you did for us in Colorado. But
Thanks.
anywho, so I'm 45. I have a 10 and a 13-year-old, and recently have been put on like ADHD medicine, and I wonder, if you want my full health history, I have I had really bad postpartum. And so before my last baby, I started taking antidepressants to try and offset it, and it definitely helped. So that was nice. But if anything, I think it should have taught me that my hormones like affect me really strongly. And so I I I I don't think I've had like hormone blood tests. Like I just take more pills. Sure, why not? Sounds great. Although I will say, like this is bad, but I'm just gonna own it. The appetite suppressant that is the ADHD medicine is just phenomenal. Because I've realized, like, I just eat all day long. I mean, you saw me, I was just eating popcorn because I have nothing better to do. And I also hate taking medicine. And so, that's what therapy's for, to convince me that I should take medicine. But yeah, I've realized that I don't need to eat food all day long.
Yeah.
So I figured if some of it's menopause related, might be worth looking into. I also have several groups of several similarly aged friends that are at different stages of this, like my high school, my college, blah, blah, blah. So
Yeah.
it's
And
hard.
menopause, like the transition, magnifies the ADHD symptoms,
Mhm.
right? So where like I could mask and manage mine previously, then all of a sudden, like 7 years ago, I couldn't. And I had no idea what was happening. Yeah.
So real.
So y'all are so young. I am 57 and I feel terrible.
Mm.
And I don't even know where to start. Like, it's very hard when you're trying to look around to even find what doctor should I see
Mm.
type of thing. So, and I've been on like plethora of medications, some of which y'all are talking about. Nobody's ever talked to me about it being a situation of a menopause related thing. I have severe anxiety.
Mm.
I've had like to the point where I've had chest pain for several years. I've had all these tests done on my heart. They're fine.
Mhm.
I'm not on any hormones, and I know I really need to be. Um, I just recently started dealing with all the weight gain, and I've never had that be an issue in my life.
Mhm.
So it's tough. It's
Mm.
tough.
Yeah.
You found your people. We're here to support you. Yeah, this is
So
why we
so
have
many
to have these
resources.
conversations.
Definitely are. Emotions all over the place. I'm 41.
Completely.
I support you, and I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you for
Thank you. Thank you.
Where are you at?
I'm
Colorado.
in Colorado.
Okay. Hopefully one day we'll meet.
Yeah, I hope so. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you so much for being here. I know it feels really good to be in a place of support and know that other people, like, you're not crazy, right? Like, I know
Right.
you're older. You said, oh, y'all are so young, but the
Yeah.
sacrifice is the same, right? We're all feeling
Right.
way like sad. It takes me, on some days I'm really, really up here, and on some days I'm really down here. And on the days in between, I struggle to be like either one. Like, I'd rather be in my bed curled up and I know
Yeah.
that I'm feeling sad, or I'm just doing all the things and getting shit done all day, instead of on the in between. And I think where we're all at is we're kind of in the in between. Like, we're trying to find that place. So if we can all collaborate together. So I'm very thankful for this group. Thank you for sharing, and please don't feel uncomfortable in your emotions. We're here to support you.
Yeah, so it's a good thing that y'all are starting this really now because it's very important and yeah, definitely.
For sure.
Hopefully you don't end up like feeling like I do right now that you kind of head some things off and just prepare yourself better and yeah,
It's
know
not
more.
it's not too late though, right? Because every one of those symptoms that you said, anxiety, weight gain, heart palpitations, are all coming out now to be related to menopause.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there are not enough trained doctors, but Nicole has a great reference, menopause.org, I believe, where you can find menopause trained doctors.
And I
Excellent.
think that's where
Thank you for that. Yeah.
you found yours there, right, Tamara?
Yes, yeah. So in
Mhm.
Fort Collins, I found one person who was from the menopause.org website who was a trained night and day, with a night
Wow.
and day experience. And I also, to what Kifri just said, um, oh gosh, I read too many books. I think it was, okay, I am actually not sure which one it was, but she said, the approach was, um, everything we're experiencing through the menopause transition is actually a heads up of the things in your life that need attention so that you're not dealing with the impact when we're 70 and 80, right? So like my cholesterol is through the roof and I gained 15 pounds this year, but like everything else stayed the same. So it's like, oh, this is a sign for me. It's an invitation for me to pay attention to my heart health now and to make some radical changes for when I'm 70 versus like finding out when I'm 70 or 80, right? So this idea of it's um a lot, and where can we start to make these shifts? Like I just put this in the chat. So we think about menopause as like it's the body piece. And I want us to also start thinking about it, right? The mental, the emotional, the spiritual, the creative impact. And that it's all of these ways that we can attend to the transition, right? So first, like, Terry, physical, right? That's a top priority to address. And then, we looking, well, and, the mental piece, or the emotional piece, right? And then we can attend to like what needs to shift in the mental, restorative, the spiritual, the creative, right? Because it is a complete rewiring. And I mean rewiring literally neurologically, but also just like complete identity, everything rewiring, right?
Well, I'm just going to share a book resource here. The Period Repair Manual has been a go-to like lifesaver for me. Just I want to learn why these things are happening in my body. So now, as you enter your 40s, you're beginning to lose progesterone, so you are more vulnerable to anxiety, depression, and insomnia. Like, why doesn't anyone tell us that? Seriously? And
Yeah.
why have we been done such an injustice about hormone replacement therapy? Oh, it's not natural. Oh, it'll give you cancer. Oh, and all the other myths and stereotypes. When we're finding out now, the earlier you start it, the less vulnerable you are to Alzheimer's. And I see my mother-in-law and my mother both going through these cognitive changes that could have been prevented because
Mhm.
neither one of them took hormones. So, yeah, you're not alone. We're here together. Let's keep sharing. Anybody else who wants to kind of share their experience, please chime in.
Yeah, I mean, I can jump in. I mean, for me, it's just something that's never been talked about. And I have a sister who's a year older, and in November we had their first conversation about it. And like our mother never, not a word, but I definitely can tell you when she was going through it, she probably would never admit it, but just they were just gonna say Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and there we were. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot with my sister too, and her hormones even when we were adolescents, she was all over the place, and mine have always been pretty even. throughout it. So, you know, you mentioned the depression, the anxiety, the insomnia. I've had depression since an early child and have done my, you know, my own internal work. But it's the body changes, right? This hair loss that's going on. I'm like, what in the world? I mean, my
Right.
bathroom floor just looks like a disaster zone all the time. You know, and the physical shape of the body, the weight gain and what I could do in my 20s and my 30s, it doesn't work. It's frustrating because no one talks about it. So I was just so and just like, yes, I want to hear about this because I have clients who talk about this and like, you know, I know a little bit, but that is not my area of expertise. You know, I'm on the other side of the realm. I refer them out to people with the women's issues, and I'm like, well, you ought to kind of look at your own. Uh,
Mhm.
Good. Glad you're
so,
here.
yeah, feed me the information. Absolutely, got a lot to
Ready to
learn.
look. Yeah, good. We're learning together. We're not experts either, but we don't have to be experts to create the space to have the conversation and share resources.
Yeah. Support is important.
Did anyone else want to share before maybe we switch into some practice and reflection questions?
I'll share one more time. When I first started like really noticing the symptoms, and I'm like, okay, I need to go see somebody. And of course, the algorithms of social media all work their magic when you're searching all the things, right? And so that's how I found Dr. Haver, and she opened up my eyes to a lot of different things. She was very different from any other medical like gynecologist that I had seen. And she answered so many questions, and light bulbs went off with everything that she said when we met. Um, and I'm not the greatest about following through when I start things. So it took me a while to start her program after I met with her, which she's very big on following like an inflammation type of diet, eliminating things for women our age that coincide with hormones and inflammation and things that we shouldn't put in our bodies, because what goes in our mouth eventually comes out, whether that emotions, hormones, our hair. I'm a hairdresser, so I can definitely say hair, yes, you are going to see hormones affect that. All the other things I had no clue about. But when I started following her diet, I did lose weight. So I am about 15 pounds free from when I've seen her. I fluctuate about 5 pounds. Am I following the diet that she told me strictly? No, not 100%, but it does make a difference if we could have a support group, and if we can really pay attention to what we put in our mouths, our nutrition. It makes a difference. The things that we listen to audioly, is that a word? The things that we absorb spiritually. And so that's why I'm really passionate about my sister and this group that she has made and joined with, because I know it's going to make a difference. So that's my little 2 cents.
Thanks, 2 cents, Sally.
Yeah, and I think, you know, with that of what I was saying before of it, the rewiring, right? It's the similar to like maybe when we went through puberty, that rewiring completely, well, I don't know for me, but like changed everything about my life, right? Physically, mentally, emotionally. And so if we think about going through this time period, what are the practices and the beliefs that we want to bring with us? And so to start that, Kifri is going to share some practices and some, yeah, I'll stop talking. Go for it.
So again, another thing that I learned from this, I call it my menopause Bible, is that changing hormones make you less able to cope with stress. It all comes back to the loss of progesterone, which is a loss of stability for your stress response system or your HPA axis. That to me, it's like, whoa, if we have practices like breath work and nature and the 3-day effect and yoga and movement, and I think that's one of the things that has really helped me kind of ease more into this transition, is because I do have a daily meditation practice and I do have breath work, and it's just something that's become automatic for me now. And so, yeah, I would like to share one of my little tools. There are 2 in the workbook. I'm not going to share those. I wanted to share something different that you can take with you, but then you'll have 2 more breathwork practices. And it's something you can do anywhere, anytime. Your breath is always with you and it regulates your nervous system. And the more you do it, the more automatic it becomes. So if you would, just, if you can, get your feet on the ground. Place one hand on your cheek and lovingly hold your face. Place the other about an inch in front of you. So I want you to breathe in through your nose, blowing up your belly like a balloon for 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slow exhale through pursed lips, blowing into the center of your palm for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Noticing the cool sensation. Coming back to your in breath through your nose, breathing in for 4. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Long, slow exhale out into the center of your palm. 6, 7, 8. Back to your in breath through your nose for 4. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slow, long exhale. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now bring your other palm to meet your other cheek and hold your face lovingly. Anytime we engage our fingertips, our breath, pursing our lips as we blow out, we're activating our rest and digest response. Anytime we lengthen our exhale and make our exhale longer than our inhale, again, we're signaling rest and digest, parasympathetic nervous system. Touch, taste, smell, engaging all of our senses. And bring your hands to meet, your palms to meet, like a prayer pose in front of you. And just begin to create some friction, some heat, rubbing your hands, rubbing your palms together. Quick, fast. And then gently place over your eyes. Letting your breath return to normal. Coming back, shaking your hands out, slowly fluttering your eyes open back into the space. And just be curious. What do you notice? What has shifted? Just in that short amount of time. called khaki breath, one of my favorites. Can also include a handout for Tamara to send out if you'd like. Yeah, that's just one way that we can empower ourselves to be in control of our nervous system. And the more we do it, the more automatic it becomes. Awesome, Eve. Yeah.
And for me, I was already in a relaxed place. I know when I'm not, I cannot do the 8 count exhales.
Mm-hmm.
So the more relaxed I am, the longer I'm able to hold the exhales. So that was an interesting sort of just a little aha with me, like, yeah, I am pretty relaxed here.
Good. Yeah, it's great to notice that. Anybody else want to share?
In the chat, Elle said that it was relaxing. And
Yeah.
Eve felt the heart rate decrease.
Good.
Very, thank you.
Yeah. I like to know the science behind why it's working. Why is it relaxing me? And when I know that, it helps me go in deeper. That's just who I am. Very up here a lot. So these practices help me get out of here and into my body.
Yeah, Kifri, it feels so much like I don't know if this will resonate with other folks, of menopause transition feels like an invitation to a slower life. You know, sometimes I feel like I joke, not joke, of like, it's like a part-time job doing all these things for my body that in my 20s and most of my 30s I didn't do, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what if it is? Right? What if it is that invitation to a slower life? Because what am I so busy doing
Mm.
that's not here?
Yeah. So true. So important. Yeah. We have a choice. We can either join the chaos and busyness, or we can make a radical right change, move, slow down, and go against the grain of what society says we should be rushing towards. I've done that in the way I change my work week. Nope, I work Monday through Thursday. I take Fridays off, have a 3-day weekend. Luckily, I'm in a place that I can make my own schedule so that I have that downtime. But that self-care piece and prioritizing myself was something I did not do raising a family, right? Like, we can't. It's almost impossible. But the minute that I shifted that framework and made even just an hour of time for myself, I was able to show up so much more present and available and not be scattered and anxious about things all the time. So, yeah, you can control your physiology. Don't let anxiety control you.
I think we discussed that as sisters. Just the personal encounters and conversations we would have, and deciding to create boundaries, in our older age. And that's been super freeing, saying no.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Prioritizing yourself, and sometimes taking the first step is so hard. It's so hard. But when you have women like this that you can talk with, and wow, I'm not crazy, and the support is there, we can create so much change, even if it's with just the 9 of us, and it starts. I'm going to take this one little thing that I learned in this group today, maybe the breath work or something that Tamara said or Nicole said or Eve shared, like, and empower ourselves and create a small goal for the week. And then big change for the month, and then the month, into the months and the year. And then you start noticing, you know what, that really did make a difference when I created a boundary and said no.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah, I love boundaries. Big fan.
I I didn't always have those.
No, me neither.
Been very freeing to create them for sure.
Yeah. I think of boundaries as another one of those practices,
Mhm.
right? We're cultivating new, perhaps, practices, continuing practices, adding practices, so that, like Elle says, giving ourselves permission to take care of us versus caring for everyone else, right? It's an inward shift.
Mhm.
And it makes me think about, our beliefs of this invitation as we're in this complete rewiring. It's an invitation to carry forward beliefs that you want and let go or shatter the ones you don't want, right? So this outward caring through our work, through our jobs, through families, through pets, through so many things, right? If this is an invitation to turn inward and care here, what are other beliefs that you want to carry forward or to let go of? And it's hard, right? Like Terry says, like really had to learn how to self-care, right? It's something that we maybe
We're
didn't
not
get to
taught.
grow up with the role modeling, right? Just as people weren't really talking about menopause or puberty or periods or anything, right? It's something we get to retrain, unlearn, grow, and take care of, right? I would be really curious to hear. We've talked about a wide range of things, right? And we knew we were only going to touch just like the surface, right? Just to get the conversation going. But is there a belief that you have that's maybe stuck in the back of your brain that we haven't touched on? You're like, oh, I think I joked in one of my weekly newsletters of like, yeah, when I think of menopause, it's like the Golden Girls. But I'm like, but wait a minute, I love the Golden Girls. That's actually pretty rad. But like, is there a belief or an image that you have been holding on that maybe you want to share? Because maybe you're like, is that even my belief? Where did that come from? I actually don't even believe that, or I don't want to, or what beliefs do you
I
have?
think
Yeah, Elle,
I
sorry.
think that's a true and a valid point because I'll be honest, once I logged in here and it is a vulnerable place to be. I think this is a topic that we don't really discuss. Sorry about the dog. But also it's like, where do you fit in, right? You're having these symptoms and maybe you don't meet the criteria what people think of when they think of menopause. So then I think there is a lot of people that kind of shut you down with your symptoms and experiences where you don't want to even talk about it because unless you meet the criteria of the Golden Girls, then you should just not have these symptoms and like you have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, so much gaslighting by others.
I think too is that there's just such an entire wide range.
Mhm.
And it's not that, same with puberty happens in a fair amount of window, but that's adjusting and shifting based on American diets, which we're not going to get into. Um, but so for menopause, it's like, okay, it's supposed to happen in your 30s. Okay, well, that's early. And then you've got now what's this term, Peri, and then you've got all these other, but it's just not talked about. So
Yeah, I even share in the workbook that will send you a link to, and I only learned this recently. Apparently, there's a late reproductive stage that starts in your 30s, and it's like the pre to peri, and things actually start shifting then. And if we think
Mhm.
about starting in your 30s, I mean, that was when I got pregnant. That's when some people plan families. That's when people are at the height of careers or career transition, right? Like there's a lot of things happening in our 30s, and this is not even on the radar,
Mhm.
right? And so, like, I know for me, one of the internalized beliefs that I had held for so long was like, oh, I just have to do more. I just have to work harder, right? I just have to over more. Um, because it must be something about me, right? So let me do all this.
True, true, true. I'll just again read from my lovely menopause Bible here. Perimenopause is the 2 to 12 years before menopause and is when you're most likely to experience symptoms. Menopause is the life phase that begins 1 year after your last period and is when many symptoms will settle down. Right? So I think we're not even using those terms correctly because we haven't been given the terminology, right? Like perimenopause. Who's talking about perimenopause? It's just all lumped into this category of menopause. It's like period, no period. It's like there is a whole range of stuff in between. And that's the piece I think we need to be more educated on.
Yeah, Kipri, like I asked my so this menopause specialist I found from the menopause.org, when I saw her, I'm like, okay, so I'm menopause. Now what, right? Like, am I post? Do things like go back to like a normal or like my symptoms are gone, like I'm gonna be good? She's like, there's no post. This is it. And I went, wait a
Okay.
minute. Like, that is not how I thought this went.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm referring to this piece in the book, the workbook that you put in on the lovely reflective questions page. Language is powerful. The words we use and assign meaning to help shape the stories our brains tell us. Language can also shape how we come to think of ourselves and our life's transitions. So, having the right language around what is happening for our bodies is affirming, right?
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for bringing that in. Other beliefs or things that you're like, ugh, I have this image or this stereotype. I don't know, like maybe you're like, I don't even know if it's true. That's fair. I keep the more research I read, the more I'm like, oh, that too. Did you know you can get like increased plaque in menopause? That your dental visits will take longer, cleaning, and cost more. Learned that this year.
So I just feel like, everything's just going to dry up and I'm just going to shrivel up and that's going to be it. I'm having all these skin issues. Like I've never really had a lot of problems before, but like my scalp is like so dry and irritated. And I think a lot of it is the water here because it's very hard and there's a lot of minerals in it. Because I do notice a difference, like when I leave the country, and coming back. Um, but yeah, just these weird things, just not feeling very comfortable in my own skin anymore. And I try to not, focus on, okay, I'm just shriveling up and I'm going to dry up and I'm going to die, that kind of thing, because I know that's not, you know, the right way to think of it. I need to think of it more as this is just a new beginning of sorts in my life.
Yeah.
It's hard to reframe sometimes, though, right? But you know what's amazing is women are smart and powerful and they're tired of this shit and they're making lots of great products for us menopausal, perimenopausal women. There are emollient oil drops for your hair. There are skin things, anti-inflammatory, turmeric. Take that every day. So helpful with the joint pain. Um, there's lots of stuff for downstairs if you need a little extra lubrication. That is amazing. Sex oil, and it's made in Colorado. Borea Wellness. Look it up if you haven't. It's the best stuff ever. But those are the things we should be talking about, right? Like, yes, I'm losing hair. Yes, my scalp is dry. I've got rosacea now that I've never had. I'm now losing eyelashes. I'm like, what the hell? Find out it's connected. Like, there's all these random mystery things that are all connected. And so the more we talk about it, the more prepared we are, the more we know, the more we can prevent it. The Golden Girl stereotype definitely was one of those things I had in my head. Like, menopause is for those people, those ladies, not me. And it's like, oh, nope, I'm here.
Mm-hmm. Other beliefs, stereotypes, images. Maybe things you're just like, I just want to maybe fact check this.
No, I mean, just hearing all the little parts and pieces, I start going, is that it? Is this what, that's why that's coming up, and this and that, and um, living in a vacuum, you don't connect the dots that way to go, huh, maybe this is all related. And, because there's not this exact, on this date, you will now enter it. And so you're there. And then you're going to be leaving at this date, right?
I wish we could leave.
Yeah, no, apparently it's the new normal.
Oh, I'll
Wait.
chime in. As a 24-year licensed cosmetologist, and the new trend is all these scalp analysis and massages and all these things going on. And I'm so glad that that's happening, because it's been something that we learned in school. But now that I'm here in the era that we're in, it's so important. So if you could add that to your routine of sectioning and separating the hair, combing and brushing the hair, and keeping your comb or brush connected to your scalp, it releases the sebaceous glands. It gets them pumping all that oil, the natural oil, the blood capillaries flowing, all the blood flowing to the scalp. So the more that you pay attention to that, and I'm actually working on concocting something that would be most beneficial for that, and I would love to share it with you guys when I find maybe what's best, not something that's off the shelf, something that we can trust from nature. I know my sister, I can collaborate with her with that, and we could get something started, but something that we can see, that helps me, and it doesn't clog my pores. But something we could start now, just as a hairdresser, because I know we've all said hair loss. Get the sebaceous glands and the blood capillaries going. Massage the scalp while you're watching TV and sitting. The breath work that my sister showed earlier. When you're doing that, touch, it doesn't have to be face, it could be scalp, and you're getting like a double whammy there. If you say, you're touching the scalp, you're getting those things moving. And at our age, we need all of that moving. We need
Hanging upside down too. So handstands, headstands, blood flow to your scalp.
Yep.
And when I found that out, I was like, oh my gosh, when I was doing handstands every day, my hair looked so great. I'm going to start doing that again.
Yep.
Also flushes your adrenal glands.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Lots of good tips here.
For sure. It's things we can start right away and know where other people feel it. We're not crazy.
Thanks for sharing.
Eve, I always feel better after being upside down.
Me too.
Just hang your head off the side of the bed.
Yeah.
I know when we're almost at time. We've been together almost an hour. It always goes fast, I always say. There's so much more, right? And so we're sending a workbook, resources, links, practices, reflection questions. We didn't even get like hardly into anything that we had planned, in part because like discussion is so important, right? Like it's so valuable to share. We have a retreat coming up to get in more to this even more. Nick, do you want to share a few things about that? And then I want you to be thinking, because I always do, I want to ask what your takeaway is of one thing that you can do that would make your menopause journey more empowering. So you can kind of like, I'll give you a chance to think about that.
Let me just put the link to the retreat on here, so we don't have to screen share. Yes, we have a retreat that is honoring this transition. Sorry, I'm losing my voice a little bit, so bear with me. So it's called Embrace Your Pause Journey, an empowering passage to feminine wisdom and community. It is located just outside Telluride, Colorado. My old neighbors bought this ranch and they are using it for retreats like this for people to nourish themselves and to get away from the hustle and bustle of life. Thank you, Tamara. So this is the property. There is 2 cabins. One cabin they call remote, bare bones, but it is actually still like a beautiful cabin. There are 5 beds. The other cabin is where we will make food and have circles and community. There's the backdrop. It backs on to the San Juan Mountains. This is the kitchen where everyone stays. They often have wildlife. All meals are catered by the lovely host, Leslie, and I have had her food and it is amazing. So all you have to do is show up and come as you are and be supported by nature, San Juan Mountains, other women, us, and just embrace this journey that is not talked about enough. What am I missing, Tamara? It runs from the 28th to the 30th of June. I do also have a scholarship where it's 50% off sign up. I can put the link here. We are offering an early bird special for sign up from now until April 25th, where it's $500 off any retreat sign up. Hold on, I just had the link here. And if you can't attend and you find that one of your friends might benefit from this, refer them on. There are also camping spots if you don't want to stay in the cabin. S3 will be facilitating it. If you have questions, you put our contacts on the workbook at all, Tamara?
Yep.
Okay. Wonderful.
I think it's important for us to mention that we all met at a nature retreat, and the power of being with other women in nature and remembering that we do have the wisdom to start our own fires and gather our own wood and do all these things is speaking to this transition of empowerment too.
Yeah. So now, what's the thing that you can do to feel more empowered this week? Or if you don't like that question, always, what's your takeaway from our conversation tonight? Who's my
I think
go
my takeaway is gonna be just getting back to the basics and getting back to the knowing, right? Like I've been kind of shoving it to the back burner and doing all of the other things and putting people and things above myself. And this group of 9 has empowered me to get back on that journey of putting myself first and my health and my spiritual, my mental, the breath work that Kifri gave, and looking into the retreat, putting myself first and trying to get to Colorado at the end of June. I put my kids' activities first. I want to support them and do all the things, but who can support them better than their caregiver? And if I pour into me, then I can pour more into them. So I'm going to really try to look into making this retreat in Colorado as well.
Yay.
Thank you
Thanks
for
for
creating
coming.
for us.
Yay.
So I want to thank you all so much. I'm really looking forward to the workbook and the resources. I think I just really am grateful to have that so that I can't put off anymore, finding the right person to help me. And that speaking with you all and hearing about all of this makes me realize that it's even that much more important to do this and to not wait like any longer to take care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'd say for me, it's that time to redirect where some of the self-care has been going to tackle this topic. Because the care I've been doing, not seeing the results from it necessarily, and this may be a good reason why. So add these to my other books I'm reading. I love to read too, so.
My takeaway is I definitely appreciate the resources so I can share with all my other groups of lady friends that are at different points in this. I think someone had mentioned, how the algorithms always know. I somehow ended up with a comedian talking about menopause. I'll put the link in here because it's funny. But it's just that it's only been very recently that I just thought menopause was your hormones stopped, you had hot flashes, and that was it. Like I had no idea of like the full scope. And so like even during this, like I'm Googling, does incontinence and dryness, is that related to menopause?
Yes, kidney
Oh, no,
infection.
I didn't. I went to a like person to get advice, but did she ever say anything about, oh, hormones or mm-mm. It's just like, well, here's some exercises you can try and use coconut oil. Cool. I mean, I am a big fan of coconut oil now, just putting that out there. But yeah, I didn't, it seems dumb, but never connected like all the dots.
My know that when I run or I say, oh, hold on, and I have to run to the restroom, my own children know when we go on a trip, even if it's just 20 minutes up the road, when we get there, guess what? Mom's going to have to go to the restroom. It's just a thing. It is what it is. And how can we change it? And we're putting it out there for all of us to start thinking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Lucy, Elle, I know you both shared in the chat, but I don't know if you wanted to share off vocal. No. All right. Well, thank you all for being here with us. Watch tomorrow for I'll send out the recording, the workbook, resources. Share back if you find things, how they hit you. I imagine people will be like Eve will be Googling things and being like, oh, what about that? For a bit. So just give yourself a little extra space and love and compassion to do that and start adding all the things to your reading list. And all my friends know like menopause will always be in our conversation. Even my 10-year-old's like, you're always talking about menopause. I'm like, isn't it
Yep.
great? You know all the things now. Bonus. So
Lucky
good.
you.
And I just said, do you really have to talk about that? Because they're off to the side eating dinner and I'm sitting there. He's like, Mom, really?
Yes.
Yeah, you do. You do.
So,
Because our mom did it.
yeah.
Exactly. This is making me feel like we should have a Facebook group to keep the conversation going, or some kind of way to keep the conversation going. I don't know what that is yet, but light bulb.
We'll just see you all at the retreat.
Yeah, that too. It's going
All
to be
right.
amazing. Thank you so much,
Thanks,
everybody,
folks.
for
It was good to see
showing
you
up.
all.
Thank you.